So I'm going to be sharing about where banners come from, where we can find them in the Bible. The first mention of where banners come from is found in Exodus 17, 8 through 16. Now, Amalek came and fought with Israel in Rephidim, and Moses said to Joshua, "Choose us some men and go out, fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on the top of the hill with the rod of God in my hand." So Joshua did as Moses said to him, and fought with Amalek. And Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up to the top of the hill. And so it was, when Moses held up his hand, that Israel prevailed, and when he let down his hand, Amalek prevailed. But Moses' hand became heavy, so they took a stone and put it under him. And he sat on it, and Aaron and Hur supported his hands, one on one side and one on the other side, and his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. So Joshua defeated Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Write this for a memorial in the book and recount in it, in the hearing of Joshua, that I will utterly blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven." And Moses built an altar and called its name, "The Lord is my banner." For he said, "Because the Lord has sworn, the Lord will have war with Amalek from generation to generation." So the name Jehovah Nissi, the Lord is my banner, the Lord is my miracle. It's also the Hebrew word Yahweh Nissi. That's the first mention that we can find it in the Bible. So there's 4 different Hebrew words that represent this name. The first one is Degul. It means a flag, a banner, or a standard of a larger kind, serving for 3 tribes together, one of which pertained to each of the 4 general divisions. The 4 standards of this name were large and ornamented with colors in white, purple, crimson, and dark blue. The Jewish rabbins assert, founding their statement on Genesis 49, 3, 9, 17, and 22, that of Judah bore a lion, Reuben bore a man, and of Ephraim displayed the figure of a bull, while that of Dan exhibited the representation of cherubim. The standards were worked with embroidery. The second Hebrew name is Oth, which is a sign, an ensign, or a flag of a smaller kind. It belonged to each single tribe and perhaps to the separate classes of families. Most likely, it was originally merely a pole or spear, to the end of which a bunch of leaves was fastened, or something similar. Subsequently, it may have been a shield suspended on the elevated point of such pole or spear, as was sometimes done among the Greeks and Romans. The Tarmagists, however, believed that the banners were distinguished by their colors, the color for each tribe being analogous to that of precious stone for the tribe in the breastplate of the high priest, and that the great standard of each of the 4 camps combined the 3 colors of the tribes which composed it. They add the names of the tribes appeared on the standards together with a particular sentence from the law, and were moreover charged with appropriate representations, as of the Lion of Judah, etc. Most modern expositors seem to incline to the opinion that the ensigns were flags, distinguished by their colors, or by the name of the tribe to which each belonged to, which can be found in Numbers 2:2. The third Hebrew word is Nes, which means from its loftiness. It's a lofty signal, a standard. This standard was not like the others, borne from place to place. It appears from Numbers 21, 8 through 9, that it was a long pole fixed in the earth, a flag fastened to its top, which agitated by the wind and seen as a great distance. In order to render it visible as far as possible, it erected from lofty mountains, chiefly on the eruption of an enemy, in order to point out to the people a place of rendezvous. It no sooner made its appearance on such an elevated position than the war cry was uttered, and the trumpets were blown. It is the standard or flag of a ship. And the fourth Hebrew word is maseth, which means from its elevation, a sign, a signal given by fire. Some writers have supposed that this signal was a long pole on the top, which was a grate not unlike the chafing dish, made of iron bars and supplied with fire, the size, height, and shape of which denoted the party or company to whom it belonged to. God setting up a banner is the most expressive figure and imports his particular presence, protection, and aid in leading and directing his people in the execution of his righteous will, in giving them comfort and peace in his service. A banner is the pole-like standard beneath which armies or communities rallied. When lifted up, it called the people together for battle, for meeting, for instruction. This phrase also could have been a battle cry. Erecting an altar was Moses' recognition of the presence of God. At this altar, he was honoring God as the giver of victory over the Amalekites. Psalms. Psalm 64 through 12. You have given a banner to those who fear you, that it may be displayed because of the truth, that your beloved may be delivered. Save with your right hand and hear me. God has spoken in his holiness. I will rejoice. I will divide Shechem and measure out the valley of Succoth. Gilead is mine. Manasseh is mine. Ephraim also is the helmet for my head. Judah is my lawgiver. Moab is my washpot. Over Edom I will cast my shoe. Philistia shout in triumph because of me. Who will bring me to the strong city? Who will lead me to Edom? Is it not you, O God, who cast us off? And you, O God, who did not go out with our armies? Give us help from trouble, for the help of man is useless. Through God we will do valiantly, for it is he who shall tread down our enemies. He gave us a banner of truth and salvation, which would rescue and deliver the people. The banner was a rallying point for the defense of truth that Israel possessed in the midst of a pagan world of ignorance. Let me read Isaiah 11, 1 through 6. There shall come forth a rod from the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out his roots. The Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and of the fear of the Lord. His delight is in the fear of the Lord. He shall not judge by the sight of his eyes, nor decide by hearing of his ears, but with the righteousness he shall judge the poor, and decide with equity for the meek of the earth. He shall strike the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips he shall slay the wicked. Righteousness shall be the belt of his loins, and faithfulness the belt of his waist. The wolf shall dwell with the lamb, the leopard shall lie down with the young goat. The calf and the young lion and the faulting together, and the child shall lead them. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the Lord, as the waters cover the sea. And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, who shall stand as a banner to the people. For the Gentiles shall seek him, and his resting place shall be glorious. It shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again for the second time, to recover the remnant of his people who are left, from Assyria and Egypt, from Pathros and Cush, from Elam and Shinar, from Hamath and the islands of the sea. He will set up a banner for the nations, and will assemble the outcast of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. The Messiah's kingdom will include the redeemed of all nations who gather to his banner. The greatest banner, our visual announcement to come, would be the Messiah from the root of Jesse. The Messiah would be the great signal to the world, and he would stand as a visual fulfillment of Yahweh's plan for human salvation. 62. Isaiah 62, 10 through 12 says, Go through the gates, prepare the way for the people, build up the highway, take out the stones, lift up a banner for the peoples. Indeed, the Lord has proclaimed to the end of the world, say to daughter of Zion, surely your salvation is coming. Behold, his reward is with him, and his work before him. And they shall call them the holy people, the redeemed of the Lord. And you shall be called sought out, a city not forsaken. All over the Bible we read that Mount Zion, Jerusalem, was the place where Yahweh dwelt. It was and will be the place where he would raise his banner in victory and claim his home and his people and his love. We are chosen, rescued, loved ones of Yahweh. Yeshua saved us and redeemed us so we can live in Yahweh's presence under the banner of his love. Banners, standards, signals, and ensigns were like visual announcements, proclaiming someone's presence. Warriors had their banners, ships had their ensigns, nations had their flags saying, this is who and where and who we are. Even Yahweh announced that he would set up his standard so that the people would see and know who he was. The Hebrew word for degel, it represents the family flag. And it's found in the books of Song of Solomon and in the book of Numbers. Degel was the banner standard of each tribe of Israel, like a family flag. Each tribe would have an army which would gather under their military banner. The Levites, however, were not a militant family. They were the priests, and the tabernacle stood as their standard. In Song of Solomon 2:4 it says, He has brought me to his banquet hall, and his banner over me is love. Yahweh's banner did not reside on the battleground. His banner was housed in the banquet hall, where he would gather us together, feed us, nourish us, and encourage us to grow in his love. Yahweh's banner reinforced that he is God. He is a God who wants a relationship with his people. Yahweh put love above everything else, and we, as his family, are called to gather to stand under his banner. Jeremiah 4:5-6. Declare in Judah and proclaim in Jerusalem and say, blow the trumpet in the land, cry, gather together, and say, assemble yourselves, and let us go into the fortified cities. Set up the standard towards Zion. Take refuge, do not delay, for I will bring disaster from the north and great destruction. To set up a standard, it means a flag raised on a pole, signaled danger, and a place for assembly. God warned the Jewish people to raise the banner because the Babylonians were on their way. Sound trumpets in the alarm and get to safety because destruction is coming. The standards all throughout the Bible were consistently placed on hills and mountains where everyone could see them as visual announcements. The hillside banners were for war, but Yahweh's banner was a visual announcement calling his people back home to him. Yeshua was the family emblem of God and the standard on the hill raised for all to see. To make point, Yeshua consistently preached and prayed on hillsides. He was the visual banner of Yahweh and the gathering place for God's family. When the adversary tested Yeshua in the desert, he took him to the pinnacle of the temple and said, in Matthew 4:6, then the devil took him up into the holy city, set him on the pinnacle of the temple, and said to him, if you are the Son of God, throw yourself down, for it is written, he shall give his angels charge over you, and in their hands they shall bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone. Jesus said to him, it is written again, you shall not tempt the Lord your God. Again the devil took him up on an exceedingly high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their glory. And he said to him, all these things I will give you if you will fall down and worship me. Then Jesus said to him, away with you, Satan, for it is written, you shall worship the Lord your God, and him only you shall serve. Then the devil left him, and behold, angels came and ministered to him. Yeshua stood as a banner on the peak of the temple, and he would not throw himself down. He did not fall for Satan's word games. The Sermon on the Mount occurred on a mountainside. It was here that he announced to the listeners that his followers would be a city set on a hill, its light shining like a banner for all to see. Matthew 5:14-16. You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. And then Luke 23:38. In Luke 23:38, it shows us the banner that Jesus bore on the cross. And an inscription also was written over him in the letters of Greek, Latin, and Hebrew. This is the King of the Jews. Yeshua hung on the cross under a banner which read, King of Jews. We are saved ones. We are not alone. Before Yeshua left, he promised that God would send the Spirit of truth to live within us. John 14:16-17. And I will pray the Father, and he will give you another helper, that he may abide with you forever, the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it neither sees him nor knows him. But you know him, for he dwells within you and will be in you. I will not leave you orphans. I will come to you. With the Spirit of truth living in us, we are commissioned to be the new banners of Yahweh. Under his standard, we are his gathering place, the living church. Let's stand on the high places and be the signal of love that the whole world needs. That's it.